Hey, hello everybody! Hoje no Vida 25 temos a quinta parte da série 60 expressões em 60 minutos. Você sabe que esse conteúdo também está lá no blog para você estudar com mais calma, alright? O link está aqui na descrição do vídeo. Vamos já começar!
Take a beating. The idiom to take a beating means to suffer the loss of a large sum of money. Another expression with a physical basis, to be beaten is to be punished physically. The idiom has a connotation of annoyance and regret. Example 1. The company really took a beating when it made a public offering, but recovered after a year or so. Example 2. If you don't want to take a beating in the stock market, then you shouldn't take a risk with your money. Example 3. As long as you're willing to take a beating once in a while, the commodities market can be a real thrill. Example 4. The worldwide recession has demonstrated to everyone in the economic community what it's like to take a beating. Under the weather. If you are under the weather, then you are sick, either physically or in other ways. The idiom is related to the idea that cold weather brings illness. Modern science has discovered that this is because immunity is weak when the body is cold and wet, but our idioms are still useful. Example 1. All last week I was feeling a little under the weather, so I wasn't at my best for the presentation. Example 2. My son said he was feeling under the weather this morning, so I called the school to tell them that he would be absent, and they told me about the exams scheduled for today. Example 3. If you are under the weather, then I certainly don't expect you to attend the ceremony. Example 4. Maybe being under the weather for a while will give me a chance to rest and recover from the stresses of life. Warm up to. The meaning of this idiom can change depending on the context. If you are warming up to a person, you are becoming friendly and comfortable and feeling safe with that person. You can also warm up to a situation like a job or a school, or to a new environment like a city or an apartment building. The overall meaning stays the same, however. Example 1. I am finally warming up to my new roommate, who is kind of shy. Example 2. John warmed up to the new job after the first week when he got a corner office and made several new friends. Example 3. She'll warm up to the new boss. Just wait and see. Example 4. If you give him some time, you'll find it easy to warm up to him. He's a great guy. Zillionaire. The idiom zillionaire is a good example of an exaggeration. It takes the word millionaire, starts it with a Z, and means much more than a millionaire. It is also a good example of creativity and playfulness in the formation of common expressions in English. The zillion also appears alone to mean a large number. Example 1. If I learn English fluently and move to the U.S., I will become a zillionaire in no time at all. Example 2. Now that he has won the lottery and become at least a zillionaire, he thinks he is better than all of his former friends. Example 3. If you write a book about English idioms and it becomes a bestseller, you could become a zillionaire. Example 4. She became a zillionaire almost overnight with a hit song and video, but within 6 months, she was out of money and hit songs. A great catch. This phrase refers to something as a great choice. It is most often used to denote somebody who makes for an excellent girlfriend-boyfriend or husband-wife. Example 1. I don't understand why you should be mad because you broke up with that guy. If you ask me, he's not a great catch anyway. Example 2. He looks like Brad Pitt, and he graduated from Yale. If he's not your idea of a great catch, then something's probably wrong with you. Example 3. Your bride looks dashing, Peter. I hear she's a great cook, too. What a great catch. Example 4. You may be smart and pretty, but some people find you too moody. Try to be a bit more pleasant, and I'm sure many guys will be considering you as a great catch. Backseat driver. The idiom backseat driver refers to someone sitting in the rear of an automobile who gives instructions and advice to the driver. This advice is not wanted and is seen as being intrusive, so the idiom can be used in non-driving situations. Example 1. My mother is such a backseat driver that she actually makes me nervous when she's in the car. She just can't be quiet. Example 2. My wife accused me of being a backseat driver because I told her to be careful going downtown today. Example 3. I was learning the new computer software on my own, and Jane was looking over my shoulder and telling me what to do. I hate backseat drivers. Example 4. The truth is that some drivers need a backseat driver because they don't pay attention to what they're doing. Call it quits. This idiom means to stop doing something to end a process to be finished. The expectation is that the declaration of the end is permanent, at least until a new start can be made. It sometimes has a connotation of regret about what happened and resignation to an unfortunate situation. Example 1. I desperately wanted to work on our marriage, but she was convinced that we should call it quits, so we divorced. Example 2. If you want to call it quits for today, then I'll concede this tennis game to you. Example 3. John always wants to call it quits before it's officially time to leave work, which the boss is always watching for. Example 4. Sheila called it quits on our friendship because she felt that I had betrayed her trust. Dead as a doornail. The colorful idiom is another example of the use of exaggeration in English idioms. A doornail is simply a nail used in building construction, and it's certainly not alive, and it has never been alive. So if something is dead as a doornail, there is no doubt whatsoever that it is dead, and completely so. The idiom is not normally used with humans, unless it is in a humorous or sarcastic way. Example 1. When I got out of my car to look at the deer I had collided with, I knew that it was beyond help. It was dead as a doornail. Example 2. My dog is as dead as a doornail, so there's no need to call the veterinarian now. Example 3. My car would not start this morning. The battery was as dead as a doornail. Example 4. The policeman thought that the gangster was as dead as a doornail, but he only was pretending. Ease off. The meaning of the idiom to ease off is to lower, to reduce, to diminish something that is judged to be excessive in some way, or already insufficient. It is commonly used in an informal way and has a connotation of annoyance or exaggeration. Example 1. The coach decided to ease off on the team after everyone complained about the long practices. Example 2. I really think you should ease off on the strict discipline. A teenager has to have some fun, after all. Example 3. John's boss thought it might be a good idea to ease off on his workload. He was looking tired and unhealthy. Example 4. You should ease off on the buffets. It looks like you're gaining too much weight. Fair play. The idiom fair play means a moral and ethical approach that balances both sides. It is usually used with the words a sense of to emphasize that it is an abstract characteristic, one that can be only seen in actions. Example 1. She has always had a sense of fair play, which was a good thing in her job as the women's basketball coach and physical education teacher. Example 2. If you can make fair play a rule to follow and a personal goal, then you'll never get upset about losing. Example 3. My boss has a sense of fair play, so he gave us both a little more time to work on the proposal. Example 4. Let's try to be examples of fair play for our children and not get angry at the referee for the Little League baseball games.